20 and 18.
Yeah, 20. The boy is 20 and the girl is 18.
You doesn't look your age at all.
That's the poetry. That's the poetry.
That's the poetry. Yeah, the way you poetize it, that turns out to be poetry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Cool, sir. Sir, we'll go.
Go ahead.
Well, hi all. Welcome to my show, The Interviewer, hosted by Lakshman Rao and promoted by Mr. Prasanna Kumar of Fertile Brains. Today, my guest for the show is Lynette Rabsatt from Virgin Islands. Here we do welcome Lynette Rabsatt from Virgin Islands. Hi, ma'am. Good evening. Hi, Lynette. Good evening.
Hi. Greetings.
Welcome to my show.
Thank you. How are you today?
Fine, ma'am. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. I feel very privileged and humbled to be invited here today. Thank you so much for this awesome opportunity.
It's our honor that you had accepted our invitation as well. Okay, cool. Like here, I would like to share some few words about Rabsatt here. Here I go. Lynette Rabsatt is from Virgin Islands, whose roots are based both in the British and the United States Virgin Islands. She has been writing since 18 years of age, who had an English course at the University of Virgin Islands. Since then, she has amassed over 200 poems. Her works have been published in Virgin Islands, Calalo, Poems from the Caribbean, and the Visual Verse. Here we welcome Lynette Rabsatt from Virgin Islands. Hi, Lynette.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How do you feel being onto the show?
I feel excited. Like I said, I feel very humbled.
Humble. Well, then, you're not inspired.
I try my best to be inspired. If I could pull my camera down a bit, you'll see I'm wearing a shirt that says,
Wow,
"Be inspired."
that's awesome that you are inspiring us to be that.
Yes.
See, even a small thing that what ignites us, what inspires us, like that takes us a long way in the journey of our anything for that matter. That takes us a long way. It just might be a small step. So that has a long journey altogether, is it not? Yeah.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. You need to be inspired and you need to use your talents to inspire others as well.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we need to inspire by ourselves first of all. There should be that gut feeling to inspire ourselves to take that initiative, to take it forward. Only then things will fall into place. If we don't have that confidence, we don't have that initiative, we don't have that intuitive and instinct, nothing takes forward. So that's what my feelings are. But I loved your title, like Be Inspired. I love the very title, Being Inspired. So what inspired you to come up with this title?
Well, I came up with this title even before I decided to do a book. I wanted to create a nice t-shirt to give to family and friends.
Okay.
And I was like, I think I'm going to use the words be inspired. So my son, who's a graphic designer, he created that image, be inspired. And then in 2023, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to put a book together. And I really loved the way he had put the design, and we just added some polka dots to the front of the book. And there we go. We had a book called Be Inspired, Poems by Lynette Rabsatt.
Yeah. So not only that, be inspired and be inspire others also. It's like giving an energy to the world. Like be inspired by the entire world. Whatever you see, whatever you feel, whatever you sense, you get inspiration from everything. So that's the core concept. So that's where I loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in the forward section, you have mentioned that poetry is my creative outlet. Where can I say what I want, but to make think I speak of, else remember your pen is your messenger. So use it well. So what's your ideology about poetry?
Well, for me, poetry is all about sharing your inner thoughts
Cool.
Like I said in the forward, it's about being creative. So
Okay.
I can write a poem about ants, and
Hmm.
it's really people that I'm talking about. But rather than coming out and saying that I'm speaking about Laxman, I'm speaking about Lynette, it's two ants just out there doing their thing. And to me, it's so important to use the creativity. And I grew up watching, like reading a lot of fairy tales and watching a lot of cartoons. So I always had this really active imagination. And I try to put that into my writing.
So what if I say like you try to emote your emotions on a subjective manner? Okay, like whatever your mind receipts as a recitation, that is what you try to pen it down. So do you agree with this fact?
I do agree. Sometimes I do speak from raw emotions,
Okay,
sometimes very much from anger,
okay.
based on situations that are happening. Sometimes I write, based on grief because I've lost someone or because I feel sad or, something that may happen in the world that impacts me.
So these
But
are the triggers that these are the emotions that triggers our imagination, our conscience. I can say that. Don't you think so?
yes, definitely emotions play a big role and your imagination has to come into play, especially when you're writing poetry because it's about how you use your words to flow and how to express. So sometimes, we use different literary devices and we use a lot of alliteration. I love alliteration. I love
Okay.
using assonance. I love using rhyming techniques. So sometimes it takes a little bit out of you because you want to express it, but you
But I
still
haven't
want to
seen
say
those.
it.
But I haven't seen those in your poetry at all.
You
I,
haven't seen
I believe like you might have kept it in another book or some other book. But in these poems, the poems which you have given to me, I couldn't find them.
Oh, definitely I have a lot of pieces with alliteration, but I guess I more use those for performances
Okay,
because
cool.
you can feel the
Yeah,
rhythm when I
right.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that internal rhyme scheme.
yes.
Yeah.
The
That
pieces in the book were like, just varied pieces that I picked from throughout my writing journey. I wanted to show some earlier pieces as well as some more recent pieces and then mix them up so that way at least there's a little bit of love, there's a little bit of inspiration, there's a little bit of politics, a little bit of every little thing.
everything. Yeah. So that's nice. Like so as to compile a book, we need to have different thoughts, a different race of hope sort of thing, different spectrums, different use of a color. So that gives a totality in the wholesomeness. So that's nice too. So how do you define or describe poetry in your own words?
Poetry is an expressive and creative way to deliver your thoughts, to inspire others.
Oh,
And poetry, you can use it. That's a beautiful thing about poetry. There's really no limitation on what you can do. You can decide to rhyme, you can be free verse, you could
yeah.
write a poem that's 7 words. And for me, poetry shouldn't just be written, it should also be expressed because it's really important to hear the author's voice
Yeah.
saying these words because then you get a different type of connection. Because sometimes you read the words and it's like, okay, I don't get what this person is saying. And
Hey,
then when you hear
hey,
them, the way they pause and their intonation, you say, that's where she's going. So poetry is that creative, it's the foundation of music.
yeah.
Music is just instruments without words. So I love poetry.
Yeah. Without poetry, there's no music. That's the case, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So poetry gives the foundation, it's the pivotal point for music.
Yes, absolutely.
So for me, it's like poetry is the fragrance of a flower.
Yes, and when you look at it, like if you're religious, whichever religious book you use, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, there's a lot of poetry in those words. The
Yeah.
the,
The
the
base,
parable. Mhm.
yeah, all the mythological books of India, or else take Quran or Bible, whatever you said, like the former texts, they were all written in a poetic manner.
Yes,
All the Vedas of Indian scriptures, they were all written in poetic form. Only later on in the decades, like we have seen prose and the other forms of writing.
yes.
The pivotal form of writing was in poetry itself. Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah, that's true, in fact. So here, why do you want to write poetry, Rabsatt? Like, it's a unique way in its own asking, like in its way, like why do you want to write poetry?
Well, that's a really good question. I want to write poetry because when I was growing up, I grew up, I'm not a single child. I have siblings, but I grew up separated from them. So the radio was my friend, books were my friend. And I never thought I was a good writer. In high school, I struggled. And when I got to the University of the Virgin Islands and I got that encouragement from Dr. Vincent Cooper, just doing different assignments. And he said, I think you have a gift. And I didn't really take it as anything at first. And as I continued to do more assignments, he kept encouraging me. And I went to poetry readings. People kept encouraging me. And I decided, you know what? I want to inspire the world with my words. And I need my words to be positive. And it's a great way to encourage people because at the end of the day, we all have full-time jobs, but a job does not define you. That's your career. But I need something else where I can also grow and expand. And I think poetry is my outlet, my way to just try to inspire and encourage people, show our culture, interact with people in India, in Australia, wherever. There's one thing that we have in common, it's those words. So I would love to continue writing and sharing and inspiring.
So may I summarize in saying like you want your voice to be heard in the global village?
Yes, absolutely. And that's where after COVID, I started to look, because we don't really have a lot of poetry events here. We have local competitions put on by the UNESCO organization or from the Ministry of Education, or different places may put on poetry competitions. And of course, we have a local college that has a literary fest, but that still just leaves you here locally. And to me, if you really want to get your work out there, you have to find options. I mean, one of the poets who I look up to is Mutabaruka. He's a Jamaican poet. And we actually brought him to the BVI. And that kind of, opened my eyes like, okay, there is an avenue for you to get your work out. But of course, he would have done all that groundwork years and years ahead of even before I was born. So I think it's my turn now to, to try that. So the online readings provide quite a great opportunity to interact with other poets like yourself. There's allographic, fertile brains, cultivating voices like poetry. There's so many events that we can interact and connect and, think about doing anthologies and other things together.
Yeah. Well, Rabsatt, like when I read your poems, like I loved your first poem, like I loved your poems with the birds. I write to become one with the birds. I write to become one with the birds, and I share these thoughts free of cost. Okay, it's like you're getting absorbed absorbed within the words, and you get dissolved in those words. Okay, so that's the beauty of being with the words. So say something
about that particular piece.
Yeah.
Well, that piece, I don't know where my head was that day, but it just flowed. Like I write to become one with words because
to be with the words.
The words are. There's no poetry without the words.
Words, yeah.
And I need to be able to expand on them and use them and twist them and turn them and play with them. So they sound sexy, but they bring the message across.
About playing with the words. How playful are you with the words?
I love playing with words. Yes, I absolutely love playing with words. And like I said, even though the book may not have a lot of works with the alliteration and things like that and repetition, that's something I do quite a bit.
Cool. In the next point, like cohesion, you said like this, like stay real with me. I live in my reality, and acceptance of your philosophy makes my heart beat even stronger. That's a beautiful line of yours. So what's your philosophy on poetry?
My philosophy on poetry is that poetry is an essential part of the human life. From inception, from the beginning, poetry was always there as that form of expression, as that way to pray, that way to meditate, that way to vent. I'll give you an example. In the Caribbean, we do a lot of calypso and soca. And in the earlier days, the calypso was really messages to the government to say, hey, you're messing up. But it didn't say, hey, government, you're messing up. There's a particular song from Trinidad. They say, Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain,
Yeah.
these seas are rough. But he's not talking about a literal sea. He's
Yeah.
actually talking about the state of the economy and the state of the country.
Okay. He's referring to the captain.
Yes.
Captain and the ship.
Yes.
So that's how they poetize.
Yes.
That's nice. Well, in the next poem, like in the poem, what is next? Okay, it's a thought-provoking concept to every layman and to every intellectual. So, what's next for you, and to move on, or what's next that keeps you going on? So, what's next?
What is next? I would like to do quite a bit more submissions to other journals. I'm looking forward to more performances, more features, possibly another book. The first one is on Kindle. So I have to think about the investment to do a print book, because one of the challenges we face here in the Virgin Islands is shipping and the expensive cost of shipping. So that's kind of because we don't have any like major printeries here. So that would be a slight challenge. And that's why I did the Kindle book. But definitely, I want to continue sharing. I also have my blog, so I will continue putting writings on my blog. I also feature local Virgin Islands musicians just to help them put their work out there, because just the same way you've provided me with this awesome opportunity, I would like to do the same for other Virgin Islanders as well.
It's like it's not only like what's next. It's like for every for me, for example, like whatever I do, like whenever the task is completed, like I asking this question to myself, what next? So it's something like it's internal rhyming rhythmic beat that beats up within you, asking like what's next. No, so
Yes.
that charges you, that inspires you, that gives you a push thrust to go forward to do something. So that's like I love that poem, like what's next. So as you described it, like very well, like what is next. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
So yeah, going further, like I love your poem proud and out loud. Please recite this poem for our audience, please, in your own voice.
Sure. Proud and out loud. Proud and out loud, that means no shrouds and only pink clouds. I have no doubt that if you turn me over after you inspect my spout, my mouth is not broken. It's a token. To be fair, that is never unclear. So be aware that I don't hunt or hint, because I am proud. I don't stop and squint, because I live out loud. There's no mute button. There's no refute notion. It's a love me as I am kind of vibe. And while I may be my own tribe, you'll know that I'm here. You'll know that I care. I'm loud, I'm proud, and I don't hold back my sound.
That's awesome. Like you are reciting your own voice. You are reciting your own rhythm, the internal beat. No, so that is where I brought this poem for you to recite for you by yourself.
Well, it's a funny story. This poem was actually written during an online workshop. It was one of the first sessions that I ever went to. And they
Okay.
were like, okay, write something about being proud and out loud. And I was like, how could I express this? And then I started, you'll see I did some rhyming, and then I went out of the rhyme scheme, in and out, and there's some repetition. But definitely, I don't hold back my sound.
So here, going further, like what is that you want to say in this poem, Anomaly? What is the message? What is the gist in your own words?
I
Because I
am
couldn't get the totality of it. I couldn't get the wholesomeness of that entire poem. So that is the reason I came up with the question.
okay, with this particular poem, it actually speaks to a personal matter challenge that I was facing. And we use the word anomaly a lot
Okay.
in the public service, because I work for the government. Then I realized that, okay, I am an anomaly.
I mean,
I had a unique situation, and I tried to express it in this poem without coming out and saying, this is what's happening to me. This is the challenge that I face. And that's what I was talking about with the poetry. You can speak because, you know, depending on where you work, obviously, you know, there are certain policies that deal with confidentiality. So certain things you're not supposed to say. But as a poet, you can express it without being disrespectful or being in contravention of your policies. So with this particular poem, it was me just really digging really, really deep, not to scream and say, this is what's happening to me, but putting it in a very creative way, just to say that, you know, I don't choose to be defiant, but I am that anomaly.
That's nice. That's nice.
And I didn't choose to be, but I can't let the fruits suffer because of the deeds of me.
Yeah. You not to be chosen, but you have to be chosen.
Yes.
Yeah. That's very cool. Like we just go on this way, like in your next poem, like you seem to be a great fan of Bob Marley. Any
Yes, I
favorite?
am.
So any favorite quotes or lines that you remember or that you can recite to our audience?
With Bob Marley, there's so much. And, you know, that particular poem, all I did was just take the song titles and put them together into a poem. I actually have two poems with his song titles.
Anything short and precise?
Sorry?
Anyone which is short and precise?
A particular quote. When it comes to Bob Marley, I like the piece of there's so much trouble in the world. And just that line itself.
It's a says everything.
That song was probably written in the late 70s, 80s. And when we look at where we stand today, his music is so relevant to everything that we're facing globally. So much, just that line alone, there is so much trouble in the world.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's so relatable and it's affecting all of us.
I discovered Bob Marley like in terms of quotes and all, because I am fond of writing quotes, and from the quotes I develop my poetry. That is one my way of writing poetry. There's one quote which like triggered me, which haunted me for some time. This is a quote: "The biggest coward is a man who awakens a woman's love with no intention of loving her." You know what? You fall in love with a lady without any intention of awakening love in her.
Yes.
Okay. So it might happen vice versa also. So what I mean to say is, like, a woman can tease a man, can woo a man, she can make him fall in love, and without the intention of making him love.
Yes.
Is it not? Then he might get mad or lunatic or whatsoever. But what Bob Marley says is like it's not gender wise. It's like universal. Like either it can be male or female. Biggest coward, you might be a man or a woman who awakens women's love with no intention of loving her.
Yes.
You don't have intention to love them. So why is that, like you tease them or else like you poke them in terms of love? You know. So that was one beautiful line which which still haunts me. Okay, that is one thing. And there's one more line, like there are many which I read. This one which stands out. You may not her first and her last, or her only. She loved before, she may love again. But if she loves you now, what else matters?
Yes.
If somebody is in love with you, what else matters? It doesn't matter like how many times you might have fell in love. It doesn't matter. Like what matters is like either if she is in love right now with you, that only that matters. So
Agreed.
yeah, so these are some of the quotes which I had in my mind. So I just thought of putting it across to you. So, well, going further, like I loved your poem, this the journey of thought. You add that ease of flow, the fluidity of words, and the subtle expression. The poem is totally poignant. Brought that poignancy into the picture. For every poet has his own journey, and every poet journalizes his travel. You're getting my point? Every poet journalizes his travel. So please describe your journey as a poet.
Oh, my journey as a poet has been, I would say it's been a very rewarding journey. Being able to write on so many different topics, getting an acknowledgement from different persons, including journals, different publications, and local competitions. My journey continues to expand by trying new genres and new versions and new styles of poetry. And I'm hoping that it continues. It's almost 30 years of writing.
Wow,
So
that's
next,
great. Awesome to know that.
yeah, next year we'll make 30 years, and I'm hoping that I can continue in my old age when the hair is all gray. I'll
Okay.
still be like,
But still you can color it.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
of
wouldn't color it. I wouldn't color it.
So you just want to brace up yourself the way you are.
Yes.
Cool, that's nice. That's very, very well said. It's like we need to face the world the way we are. Like we need to be loud the way we are. No?
Agreed. We need to accept our
Yeah,
natural beauty. We need to
yeah.
accept ourselves
Let the
as
world accept
individuals.
us the way we are. Let the world
Yes.
accept us the way we are. Or else let them deny. We are least bothered. We are like, uh, I feel like poets are like free-spirited persons.
Yes.
Okay. They can't be under constraints or under limitations. They are they might be free birds or else the free bards. Okay. They are the liberal spirits. I say this. In many of my poetry, I say like poets are liberal spirits. So as
And
to
actually, all,
so as to liberalize their spirit, they write poetry.
yes.
Do you agree that?
I agree, and I would agree with all artists, including the painters, even
Yeah.
the graphic artists. Because
Yeah.
my son is one of those free spirits that, he just sits down and he gets just very creative. And I'm like, where did you come up with that idea?
Yeah.
But that's just him.
Yeah. True.
And to me, all artists, musicians, we just need to have that creative license to just be free and just show your talent.
So it's the license is nobody is going to give you. You need to own it. You need to absorb it. You need to dissolve it, and you need to surrender to creativity. So that is the beauty of artistic lifestyle. Nobody gives you a mic or nobody gives you a chance to write something or something. That is your own instinct that you need to develop by yourself. That's the intuitive, your intuit, that your intelligence for that matter, that you need to bring it out. Is it? Your intelligence is your imagination, your creativity. That's
I
what
absolutely agree.
I believe it. So that's it. Like we are coming to the fag end of our show. Like how do you feel?
I feel very inspired and very encouraged. It was a beautiful conversation chatting with you and just talking about poetry, parts of your journey, parts of my journey, where we could see we have things in common. We're
Yeah.
still different, but we have a lot in common. And my encouragement to you is, of course, to continue to share your work, continue this platform, because people, it's one thing to read the poetry, but then when you hear the poet behind it, you get to understand, that's where she was coming from, or that's what his thought process is, or this is the struggle that brought you to this point. So it's a very, very important platform.
This is where we we share the energies, the cosmic energies that we share, the poetic energies that we share with other poets, and not only to explore their poetry, like in order to bring out their poetic vibe out, the poetic person from their journey to reveal what exactly they mean to say. So this is a platform where like we want to discuss and explore much of a poet's person, the poet as a person. So this is where we are trying to come up with this show. Thanks for coming to our show, Rabsatt. Like it was honor and a privilege to interview you. And I wish like you keep rocking and keep the poetic spirit alive forever, ever and ever.
Thank you so much. And I wish the same for you. Keep sharing, keep inspiring, and keep this show going, please.
Thanks a lot, Rabsatt. Like again, you want to bring your poetic line, be inspired. So you want others to be inspired through your inspiration. That's nice way of concluding the show. Thanks a lot, Rabsatt, for coming to my show. Like it was an honor and a privilege to interview. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. And thank
Signing
you as
off from Bangalore, India, Lakshman Rao from the interview. So do you have anything to say?
Oh, I would just like to say, like, again, thank you so much. And to wish you all the best for the rest of the day.
Cool, Rabsatt. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. Great to have you. Thank you. Bye.